here on the Biohacker Physical Therapist. So we want to go ahead and dive right into it and just see if we can participate with this channel by showing you what we have today. Now, we're a stream that's dedicated to our immunity, our inflammation reduction, and control of that through different types of means, such as nutrition. Nutrition is very important, and that is one key component that we can think about in our physicality if we wanted to have that broad sense of the term. Now, we're going to go ahead and now show you what we have so far. Now, on the screen on the side shows you a picture of some almonds. Now, what are sprouted activated almonds? Well, we have to figure out that here in a moment. So let me just check here and make sure that we are streaming live. Looks like here. What are sprouted activated almonds? Okay, so it looks like we are on there live. Wanted to put that on the screen so I can make sure that I am streaming effectively through the camera. And we want to see if we can do this without having a loss of our information. Now, this is a website that we have that we like to use, and we use this quite a bit in our stream. This is called the Gourmet Vegetarian Kitchen. And what's really nice in there is where nutrition is beautiful. So I've looked under the, there is a section here that is for our just checking out the information and searching. There's a search engine on here. And on here I put on the search dealing with the almonds. I just put almonds. And the first one that I have is this one that I've chosen, and it's the sprouted and dehydrated almonds. These sprouted dehydrated almonds are the best to have for an easy snack. The sprouting process makes them more digestible, and the dehydration process gives you maximum health benefits you deserve in a raw form. All right. So what I like to do is I take these. Now, you can't sprout any almonds because most of them have been pasteurized and they're unable to sprout. So you have to have some special ones. In fact, you have to use probably Amazon or some sort of online shopping to choose the almonds that are good. Now, the one I like to use is, I'm not going to show you the brand per se, all right, but this is the bag that I use, and it's unpasteurized, if you can see here. And it says here on the bottom, organic, nutrient dense, and non-GMO verified. Now this is about 2 pounds, and it says on here on the bag, it says, well, it doesn't say here, but if you go to the website, you can see that these are sproutable. Now, according to what I've read here, the way that it says, as you know, almonds have a massive health benefit. Unfortunately, they also contain high amounts of phytic acid. If you want to make sure that you get a maximum amount of nutrition from almonds, try sprouting and dehydrating them before consumption. This method is also great if you want to go further and turn sprouted and dehydrated almonds into almond butter. The process might sound intimidating as it take up to 5 days from start to finish, so let's just talk about that. So I have a big sprouting jar, and I've went ahead and put all the almonds in my sprouting jar. So this is the whole almonds, and I put it in the jar. Now I go ahead and I put it in the jar, and it is overnight. It is soaked. It is soaked for overnight. Now let me just check a few things here. Just make sure that I am not burning up my phone, because it seems like it's getting warm. All right. So we might have to add a fan to this to cool down the processing of the phone with the chip that it has. It looks like it is getting warm and getting there fast. So There might be a little noisy background as I have the fan going on for this particular stream. All right, so I've got to move a few things around, and what I'm doing right now is I am seeing how this works out. Now, I think that's maybe why the first one didn't work, because it was burning up the house, and I needed to now put that addition to this. So I'm going to unplug a few things. You might hear a couple of clinks and clanks, and then maybe some brightening or freshening up the screens as it charges now in the background. So one of the things we have to understand is that the body's electric, so we have to be careful that we don't have too much exposure to RF, EMF, and EF, okay, including Bluetooth, which I'm using, and Wi-Fi, which I'm using at this point. But nonetheless, we're only going to have it a short period of time. So it says on here, if you want to make sure you have the maximum amount of nutrition, try sprouting and dehydrating them before you consume them. This process might sound intimidating. We talked about that. Okay, so here's what you need to make sprouted dehydrated almonds. So you could read that if you want to. I'm just going to have that picture kind of in the background. Now, what I'll probably do is I'm going to show you what I have on the screen on the bottom here. Let's see if we can do this or not. Let's see if we can go through. This is something new, and I'm just seeing if this is going to work out for us. There we go. Now, on this one screen, we're going to have, it's going to be a little choppy maybe, but I'm going to have the screen turned downward so you can kind of see what I have below. Oh, not that one. We don't want that one. We want to have, well, maybe we'll have the main screen. There we go. Let's see if we can successfully do that. Okay. Looks like we are in business. Look at that. Now, over here we have the sprouting jar. Now, I have the sprouting jar, and I'll put the almonds in here. Now, let me show you pretty much the final product. Now, I've been using this today. It's the final product. The final product. All right, so it looks kind of like, doesn't look too exciting. In fact, it's probably not even as tasty as just grabbing a handful and eating it. However, there's so much health benefits with that, and I'm going to just try to demonstrate that here as we go through this. So here on this dehydrated tray, I have these sprouted almonds. Now you can't really tell. Let me see if I can find one. You know, they don't really have like a big long tail, all right, and they don't have like the green part because it was not having the chlorophyll from the sun. So I'm trying to find how it looks like. And if you can have that, okay, I'm going to try to see if I can focus this without tearing up the whole part here. If you have on here, if you can look closely, in fact, without, there you go. This little tip here is the sprout, all right? So it's activated. Now, you can wait actually a full 3 days. I think that's the recommendation of this. But I've only chosen to do 2 days, and I find that that's better because if I wait too long it kind of gets slimy and has this mustiness. You have to be very careful because these are unpasteurized, and you want to be careful that you're not going to get any kind of like poisoning from sprouting, and that's always a potential. So you got to be careful. So I've only did that with two. So let's go back and show you the page. Let's see here. All right, let's see if I can do that on here on the screen. Okay, here we go. And I think I'm going to abandon one of these things, and I think it's going to be this one here because it takes a lot of energy. We'll still go with it. We'll still go with it. All right. So as we continue on, let's go ahead and see what else that we did. All right. So we had the 2 cups of almonds. We put the salt. Now, when we use the soaking, we soaked it overnight, right? And we soaked it with, if it's a full 2 cups, we can go ahead and put in there a tablespoon, 2 cups of almonds, 2 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of the kosher salt. Now, I like the kosher salt the best because it's got these bigger chunks. I'll have to grab it on this top here. So we have the bigger chunks of salt that you can see right here, and it's really good actually, this kosher salt. So you put it in there, and let's see what else. That's it, pretty much. I like to rinse them off. It says here rinse them. Okay, so I like to rinse them off in the morning and the evening as I do this. So after the 2 days on the evening, I'm ready to put it in the dehydrator. Now, I've chosen, it says here, I've chosen to take off the peels because a lot of those phytates are actually in, oops, is there an earthquake? In the phytate is in the peel itself. So we take that off. Now I find it the easiest if I blanch the almonds for about a minute. So I think that's the good way to do it. Also kind of takes the sliminess away and it makes it easier to take off the peel. So I do that. Let's see if I can find that on here. Now I put it in the dehydrator for 24 hours, and the temperature I use is about 105 degrees. We don't want to have it too hot because it's going to cause the enzyme. You have to decrease the enzyme you don't want to have it too hot, and you don't want it to have it not hot enough. So the enzyme inhibitors, and then also the nutrition is better at lower temperatures. So I take about 105 degrees, and you could read about that if you want to for more details. All right. Now, so that's it. That's pretty easy. So this is the almond tray. Now, I have 2 trays. Now, I think I'm going to do it this way. I think it's going to be easier because flipping back and forth on the screen is such a pain. Now, it has a lot of information on there. It's not the best, but so on here it shows the 2 trays. All right, here are the 2 trays. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to show you the next tray and the information for that. So the next tray is, I've had a stream about this in the past already, but this is the sprouted buckwheat. Now with the buckwheat, you don't have to activate them with the salt. I just soak them overnight and then I go ahead and sprout them for 2 days and then I dehydrate them just the same. So let's look at that also on the screen. All right. Now as I do that, I'm probably going to take a moment here if I can. We'll keep it that way. Oh, I already did that. Okay, so on the search engine, we're going to look now at buckwheat and what's the benefit of the buckwheat. So let's do that next. So look under the search engine and I'm going to put buckwheat. I've already had that before and I don't want to spend too much time with that because we've had that in another stream. There we go. So we're going to use this one here as it slowly goes into search mode. Now why are we doing this? We are trying to improve our nutrition, especially during these times where they can cause us problems if we don't have the right nutrition. So here we go. It says here, sprouted buckwheat is one of the most healthiest seeds. Now, there is some opposition of that, all right, some opposition of eating, well, there's also opposition to eat almonds because, you know, environmentally almonds might not be the best for almond milk. You have the problems with the phytic acid. You have the need to deactivate them and also to have that anti-nutrient reduction. So you have to be careful with not overdoing the almond milk and the almond concentrates. So I like to eat the almond straight, and I just have just a little bit. In fact, I like it with, I have 3 types of nuts I use for one day and then another 2 for the other days. So this is involving paleo, keto, and vegan. These are all concepts that you might be familiar with. All right. Now, with the buckwheat, the sprouted buckwheat is one of the world's healthiest seeds. It's gluten-free, and people can rely on it for amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Now, it's not lectin-free, and that's why we do the sprouting, and it can help. All right, so that's why we're doing the sprouting for that. All right. So it talks about how buckwheat is, another thing is the soba noodles. So she talks about that, the soba noodles, that is actually made of buckwheat. Knowing about phytic acid in whole grains, nuts, and seeds, I do a lot of fermenting and sprouting these things before I cook them, and buckwheat is something I like to do. She likes to do the sprouting. Okay, this is the woman who has this web page. Now, what about, let's see, she was talking about phytic acid. There are some studies now that also shows that some of that is also beneficial in an anti-cancerous way. So there are some things that I do that is maybe not taking out some of those, and there are some of the foods that we eat as well as we eat those in a vegan lifestyle or a vegetarian lifestyle or a nutritarian lifestyle if you're following Dr. Foreman's plan. All right, so it talks about sprouting, and we are going to open up that screen. So that's like a little intro to that as we looked at that. Now, so as we look at that, we're looking again at the health, says here, healthiest nutrient-packed seeds. Look at that. I like that because it's very simple. So what's needed with this is a smaller jar, and I usually like to use the sprouting jar, and you can get sprouting jars and the caps for it on Amazon and even through this website. She has her own order page on Amazon. Very excellent. I have a lot of the stuff that I bought is from her page. So you take the sprouting jar and you're going to go ahead and only put a fourth, it says here, fourth of a cup. Very small amount. You're going to say, oh, there's a lot of area. So you don't have to fill it up completely with the water. I just fill it halfway with the water. And I have that soaking for 2 days. Actually soaking overnight, and then I sprout them for 2 days. The freshening of the water in the morning and the evening. It's very simple. And you know, and you just do it that way. So that's the buckwheat. So the next one that we'll talk about, and I do have again 2 trays of that. Let's just see if we can see that on the screen here. All right, so that is frozen for the moment. So we're going to wait till that catches up. There we go. So we have on here 2 trays of the buckwheat. All right. You can see them a little closer up there. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to show you is the activated walnuts. Now, you don't have to sprout the walnuts, and I have the sprouted, I don't have the sprouted walnuts, but I have the walnuts that are activated. Same concept, 24 hours, 105 temperature, you soak them overnight. You put it with the walnuts, though, you put less salt. So if I had 1 cup, it's supposed to be like a teaspoon for the almonds, so it's only half a teaspoon for the activation of the walnuts. Okay. So again, a fourth of a teaspoon of your kosher salt. All right. So that is the activated walnut. So what I mean by activated, you activate them overnight by putting them in the brine, and then you'll dehydrate them. And that's an excellent way to, again, deactivate some of the antinutrients and get the maximum punch from your nut. Okay, so I have these all on the dehydrator in the tray. I have a whole gigantic stack here that we put on the dehydrator 24 hours, and there you go. So everything seems simple now that everything's done. The process sometimes is difficult. Now, let's move on to another sprout. What else is a good sprout? Let's talk about the chia. So a person who is kind of like anti-chia is Dr. Gundry and his followers. All right, the plant paradox. Now look at this. This is kind of exciting, and you probably can't see it very well. I'm going to show it to you in several ways, but chia. All right. Hopefully that's not a copyrighted little jingle there, but the chia or chia. All right. So here we are with the chia. And I like that because now this is almost ready to be put outside, and not really outside, but in the sunlight tomorrow. I'll probably do that, and it will be out in the sunlight for a while. So all you have to do is you just sprinkle a little bit of the chia seeds on a terracotta plate, a terracotta dish, like a pan, and all you have to do is you spray them. You spray it like that, and you just keep it moist. You don't want to drown them because that will just cause problems. You can't really have good sprouts when they're just drowning in water. So for the first, the suggestion is for the first little bit, you want to go ahead and probably sprinkle them more often. All right, so you want to sprinkle them more often. That's probably right at the borderline of too much there, but that's the water that we've got for that. So I've got one here. Now the other, it's always like one tray that has less than the. I don't know why for sure. I don't know if it's because it's stacked a certain way. All right, and you don't want to put too much. You might think, oh, I got to cover the bottom. Just barely covered the bottom. Actually, this one looks just as good. In fact, I like it on the end here. Some of the sprouts that are showing up really nicely there. So we're going to spray this one now. Now I'm needing some new water. Now this is a nice amber colored glass. It has actually what do you call that? It's the item is found on the Gourmet Vegetarian Kitchen Amazon page. You can order this, I think, on this as well. Or maybe this is actually on just Amazon. Okay, I'll take that back. Probably just Amazon. All right, so I need to probably fill up the water. Got some nice filtered water here, and I'm just squeezing the last bits of water on the sprout. That's probably almost, when you have barely enough is when you want more, right? Okay, so I think that's probably good. All right, so that is our chia. All right, I'm still trying to get the aim on this. Let's see if we can improve that somehow. Get the full picture in here. There we go. We don't want it too angulated. All right, so that's not too bad. All right, so we have that, and then I cover it like that, and have the terracotta dish plate on there, and I've thrown it in actually this salad twirler thing. I don't even know what that's called. All right, so I just cover that up and I stick that in a darkened area, and that's what I do with all the sprouts. Just stick them in the darkened area. Now for the last one that we're going to do, I'm not sure if we'll do this completely today because it's not sprouted yet. I probably should wait one more day, but again, I don't like that mustiness with my beans, so I'll probably I only soaked this overnight, and I took like the day to sprout. So it's not going to be showing any sprouts. Maybe a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring this over here. And I'm probably going to switch the screen a little bit to one that shows the dirty kitchen sink. But let's see here. We're going to change the screen to a more serious version of a screen here. I can pick the right button, not pushing it too many times. And let's now change the layering. And let's see if we can be efficient here as possible. All right, so that's good. That's clear. Now, and maybe faster. So I have on here, I'm going to go ahead and bring myself over here. I think I got enough battery power here. Sorry I don't have the gimbal today, but the gimbal is really nice to use when I'm moving around quite a bit. So Again, I've got the white navy beans, and I've soaked them overnight, and I'm going to just rinse them right now. So I usually just put water, and then I'll take my shaker connection. Where is it at now? If I can find it here. I always seem to lose that. Let's see if I can find it here. Here it is. I just have some sort of cap that I kind of like shake it so I can see what I'm doing here. So now I'm just going to take that. Now you can take that water. It's really nice water to have and put that in the garden, especially if you have a nice garden. Or you could put it in your refuse container, and then later on you can put that out. So I'll just put a little bit of that, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the filtered water, and we'll just shake, shake, shake. Don't have to do it long. All right, so that's ready to go. And I usually like to have it draining for a while before I will turn it into the Instant Pot. So what's really nice about the Instant Pot is it really takes care of the lectins. So a big Gundryite that I am, in most sense of those terms, where he lacks some science, I just try to look at some of the other individuals. Dr. Greger, very science-based, plant-based, biased, of course, and Dr. Mercola, and he is more grass-fed animal products based. And I guess the saturated fat controversy is interesting. So that has been now debunked as something that's significantly detrimental and that's necessary for good health. So one of the things I like to do is if you read about that with Dave Asprey's books, and you can see how he discusses a little bit about that, and he encourages, if it is the plant-based oil, it would be the MCT oil. They want to know, but then they don't. So you kind of like, whatever. So, but there are a few who are out there that are part of the community of believers, more or less, when it comes to good nutrition. Now, and you can see way back in the background, actually, I don't want to say the specific brand again, but this is some really fine MCT oil. All right, so this is the one that I like to use. And what's nice with that, if we read the bottle again, it's no ordinary MCT oil, and it just talks about that. But it says here, it contains most ketogenic MCT oil, the most ketogenic MCT oil, pure C8 caprylic acid, and easy to absorb, high quality smart fat that converts into brain-powering, fat-burning ketone energy. Helps you control cravings, jumpstarts your metabolism, and improves your cognition, your cognitive performance to keep it sharp. It's flavorless. You can add it to about everything or anything, and there you go. So 1 tablespoon alone is 70% of your saturated fat that you should have. So, all right. So you would benefit with this greatly if you're interested in the keto version of your lifestyle, if you're doing the keto. Now, back to the white beans. Now, why do we choose white beans? Now, one of the reasons why, one of the nutrients, we might have to do a search on that, but that would be small traces. Okay, let me see if I can find it. I think it's the iodine that's the beneficial part of this. But let me just read one of my cheat sheets here where we have the navy beans, similar to Great Northern beans, but smaller. White bean is used in traditional baked beans. And then the benefits it says similar to Great Northern, but higher in number of minerals. So if we looked at the Great Northern beans, great sort of protein and carbohydrates, low in fat. So that really doesn't give me as good information I want to. So again, we're going to take off the boring screen there, and we're going to see if we can go back to our web browser screen, and we'll quickly go into that mode. So now, with that said, let's look at the benefits of white beans. Why the navy beans? All right, so now that we're crooked on the stand here, let's go with that. So we'll probably open up a secondary web page, and we're going to add to that, or maybe take over one of the ones that we have. And let's go back to our smart page, our startpage.com. That's the search engine I'm using. And then we're going to use on here navy beans. All right, so just go into general search to see why we're going to choose the navy beans. All right, so why are we choosing navy beans? All right, so white small navy beans. Now I'm not going to use Wikipedia, and I'm just going to choose one of here. Let's go with, this one says no soak, and let's just go with the health benefits. All right. Let's go to Healthline. All right, we'll go to Healthline. We're using it for educational purposes only, and we're going to look at that. All right, so let's just review Healthline. I like that one. All right, it's commonly eaten around the world and are rich in sources of fiber and vitamin B. Also, great replacement for meat sources, vegetarians. And here are the 9. It says here are the 9 healthiest beans and legumes you can eat. So let's see which ones. Chickpeas. This one does it specifically on the white beans. Lentils, or the navy beans. Let's see, peas, as in the pea-protein kidney beans. Black beans. Soybeans. And I think we're going to come in like number 9 here. Pinto beans. Navy bean, here it is. So it talks about the protein, folate, magnesium, manganese, thiamine, iron. Helps reduce the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. That's a big problem nowadays with diabetics and those people who are involved with their blood sugar issues. And that is excellent for that. Now I'm trying to see if I can get this leveled because it just drives me crazy. Oh, there we go. All right. And then it talks about a study, and it says it helped to decrease their cholesterol, and it's good to reduce waist circumference, blood sugar, blood pressure, and that's it there. Okay, so fiber and decreasing metabolism. So there we go. So we're going to take that now into consideration, and we're going to go ahead now and put in here in our Instant Pot the navy beans. Take off the rest of the water. Now, I like to use the guide that's with the, there's all kinds of ones that you have in Instant Pot, and you don't have to say use Instant Pot, but I'm just using a pressure cooker, I'll just say. And this version that I'm using, I'll look and see the timing. All right. So the timing for this is it says here just water enough to cover the top, and soak would be about 20-25 minutes. I'm going to go with the 25. I like my beans a little softer than harder, so we're going to go with that. Now we're going to go ahead and put the water. We're going to throw out the water, so I'm just going to put this filtered water from here. You know what? I think I'm going to put the filtered water from the canteen here. So I'm going to put at least 2 cups of this water, and we might salvage the rest of the water or take the water from the Brita filter. All right. See if we can add a little bit of. There we go. Maybe not so much. So that's that's probably enough. I probably could use maybe another half a cup more. Let's just be safe on the safe side. Don't want it to be too dry. And we can always dump out that water. This is 3/4. I think that should be fine. Alright, so there we go. And we're going to stick that over here on... that's a frozen screen, isn't it? Alright, so we're going to put that over here on the pot, and we're going to let that steam away. Not steam away, but pressure cook away. So the time we said was 25 minutes. Got the cap going on here. And there you go. I wasn't impressed with that website for that information. I have to go to another one here in a minute, but we've got that going. That's going to go here in the background. Alright, so let's go back. Let's see if we can find out the information that we want. So much for that. That was just not a good. Let's go with navy, beans, and iodide. Yeah, there we go. So navy beans, cook a half a cup. You've got 21% of your daily allowance there with that. Okay, so you don't want to have too much. Even just seaweed or kelp, you don't want to have too much because there's a problem of having too much iodine. So what is the problems? Okay, it could result in thyroid dysfunction as a result of high iodine. Yes, if you get too much, getting a high level of iodine can cause some of the symptoms of iodine deficiencies, including goiter. Excess is uncommon and is caused by consuming too much of mineral iodine, which can sometimes affect thyroid function. So that's something that you have to be aware of. So sometimes you could just take a supplement and it has some iodine in it, and this one I particularly take. is the formula that I have is 100%, which there's 150 micrograms. All right, so you get that. Now there's the whole conspiracy. I don't want to say you could do some research on that, on iodine, and you know how actually that it's a necessary nutrient, and you can see that iodine is very important to have in the area of brain development and cognition. Okay, so we want to have that in addition in our foods, and sometimes it's better than the fluoride that they put in our items that we consume. All right, so that's kind of a shorter broadcast stream, and I wanted to kind of show you that, some different ways to sprout. I believe we took care of all of that. Next stream that I'm going to do is probably going to be on a fiber drink that I like to drink. And it's with psyllium husk and all of the things and the varieties that you can do with the fiber drink, and something that's very good for decreasing your blood sugar problems and improving your nutrition with fiber. Okay, so join it again next time for the live stream. Join me in Facebook. If you wanted to have updates, you can always go on the Twitter feed that I put out and when I am available. Again, this is the Biohacker PT, and talking about how food can help us in our pain and inflammation and trying to regulate our immunity. Again, thank you very much. Until next time, and good night.